Okay. I guess it was just Steam. I guess that'll teach me to keep Steam open. By the way, I noticed today that all of the FriendSim volumes are half off, which means they're only 50 cents. So if you were so inclined, you could hop on and grab you the whole thing for pretty cheap. If you haven't already, that is. Oh well. Alright. So let's get into it. Volume 4. Fresh from your most recent bout of gratuitous bodily injury and touching scenes of camaraderie, you soldier on. You've had a few setbacks, made a couple silly choices. Boy, do things just keep happening. But let nobody say that you, the main character, are incapable of growth and change. You have made sure not to be caught in the wilderness near dawn again. You have made your way back to civilization. You can't wait to discover what new adventures await you. Adventures like friendship. And I think you all know which one we're going to go with first. That's right. Vicare. Vicare? Vicar? I'm going to go with Vicare. That sounds way better. It's probably best for you to stop trying to predict what's going to happen to you at this point. Everything that's happened so far on this planet has been kind of chaotic. In fact, you're ready for something more familiar. You head back to the site of your abandoned spaceship. Sure, it's smashed beyond repair, but it's a little slice of home. Maybe at least one or two pieces of it are fixable. You march off in what you think is the right direction. But when you get there, you're not alone. A little guy in a hat and big goggles is standing there, gazing at your spaceship, maybe assessing it. As you watch, he breaks off a couple of gears and stuffs them in his pocket. "Hey!" You clear your throat loudly. "Good galloping gravy. Why, I've never seen the likes of you before. What strange wonders the heavens have rained down upon us today." You quickly lose any indignation you were building up. He's smiling at you, and his words seem at least somewhat amicable. Maybe you got this all wrong. Maybe this is the next person you're going to get chummy with. You cut right to the chase. No point in beating around the ground leaf covering. That's probably what they call it on this planet. You let this guy know that you're the proprietor of the spaceship he's stripping, and you're in mighty need of a new friend. "A friend, eh? A bosom companion? A pal about town? I've seen nary a Tom and Dickus or Harry around these parts who might fit the bill." You were kind of trying to imply that this guy could be your new friend. Is it too late to say that now? You try to imply it with your eyebrows. "As for me, day-to-day matters here on Alternia interest me not. For I care only about hurtling at great speeds through the boundless expanse of the cosmos. That's right, space! It is spaceflight that consumes my every waking thought and all my ardor. As in accordance with my duty as a future Alternian Crusader, of course. No oxygen, no wind, a total vacuum. That is the life for me, all right. Flying in space above the atmosphere. Not within the realm of gravity's purview. Wouldn't have it any other way." Right. You get the feeling you're missing something. This guy seems really defensive about his interest in spaceflight. Like, maybe he's trying to say something totally different? Whatever it is, his internal conflict clearly takes precedence over your issues. He seems like a great candidate for a friend, despite the fact that his voice sounds like it belongs over a newsreel about World War II. "I have just one query for you, sport, if I may be so bold. Do you also like spaceflight? Do you yearn to see the moon shining above, the clouds whipping by as you chase and tease the impish western wind? And then also keep going past that up into space?" Of course we love spaceflight. I mean, we crashed on a rocket ship, didn't we? "Well, then we are in total agreement. Two kindred souls traveling hand in hand into a glorious yet inevitable future of conscripted service in space. Which is, as I've already made clear, a thing I most definitely and positively desire. So it seems we have nothing more to discuss. Toodaloo! Wait. What? Okay. Huh. Hey. At least it's not super sad of an ending, I suppose. Huh. This is going to be, a thing. Okay. Let's try that again. I'm not so sure about spaceflight. His eyes widen. You see them sparkle? Ah, I see. You're an individual with a more sophisticated palate. A real connoisseur of the buoyant art you are. Someone like you could never be satisfied with the anemic affair of traveling through the inky blackness of the galaxies. I believe a jaunt to my hive is in order. Let's get a wiggle on. There was a lot going on there, but you understand that he wants you to follow him. The friendly guy takes you to a building where all the rooms seem to be balanced on spindly-looking stilts. The hive soars above you up into the sky. He gestures to a little platform attached to a pulley system, like a rudimentary elevator. It brings you up into a small, dark room. Oh, wow. I really like that background. His house is pretty much what you would have guessed. The walls are covered in star maps and pictures of spaceships. You notice that many of them have cheery slogans splashed across them saying things like, "Explore the galaxies, because you're required to fulfill your duty to society," and "Enlist, travel, make friends, don't get culled." Your new friend doesn't seem to be happy as he looks around the place. Just the hive for a dedicated spacecraft enthusiast, isn't it? You nod, but you're not sure what this is leading to. But no one ever went wrong relying on non-specific and plausibly deniable agreement. Who am I fooling? You've rumbled me, potential new chum. What you see before you is a collage of falsehoods. I'm nothing but an avatar of baloney. In truth, the myriad temptations and desires of space do nothing to tickle my biscuit. The thought of participating in the glorious eternal conquest gives me the screaming memes. My interest lies in something a little lower down. He reaches up and peels back one of the posters. Behind it is another poster, this one showing a view of clouds in the night sky. Behold my shame! The truth is, I long to toss and turn within the grasp of Mistress Gravity's sweet fingers. To traverse the sky, can such a thing be? Imagine flying with the confines of Alternia's very atmosphere, defying the very conventions of what we all know to be true. Instead of down, up. Instead of falling, soaring. Can you imagine? Can't you see it before you? Could you ever dream of the existence of such a flying machine? Ooh. Oh, I don't really want to burst his bubble just yet, do I? He seems really excited, so, I've never heard such a thing. Ah, but the future is ours to build, my strange-hued and unhorned comrade. What do you think? Does it excite you? Do my ideas rattle your buttons? You can't help but notice that he's referred to you as chum and a comrade, but friend hasn't made an appearance yet. Do synonyms count? Or is it just a tick of his speaking style? You look as earnest as you can and nod vigorously. You're almost positive this is the thing he really wants to express your interest in. Aha, the truth will out. You and I share this furtive passion for the indulgences of the air. A dialogue between a troll, a flying machine, and the stars. But further away from the stars than we would be in a spaceship. I cannot stress enough how different of a thing this is. You can't decide between nodding and shaking your head here, so you furrow your brow and do your best to look thoughtful. Like, maybe you are contemplating the differences. This fellow's demeanor towards you is definitely shading to the more temperate climate zones. However, certain physical needs are starting to assert themselves. You're still pretty banged up from your previous adventures, but right now the aching of your stomach is screaming for attention. You humbly ask your friend-to-be if there might be any chance of getting a bite to eat. But of course! Why, if I'd known you had a rumbling in the old digestion bladder, I would have shut my yapper toot sweet. Time for a good old nosh, a yummaroony, what ho! Now, how should we obtain the victuals? We could venture into the great unknown, which is to say, out of my hive. Or we could stay here, beholden to whatever twists and turns Lady Fate has in store for us in the nutrition block. What say you, new timer? Go out and look for food or stay in the hive? Well, I think this choice is pretty obvious. We're just going to stay right where we are. Hopefully he has something good to eat. You tell him any food he has in his house will be fine. Surely staying here will get you fed more quickly. No problem at all, my fine and fervent fellow. However, I believe two kindred souls, such as ourselves, have more ways of communicating than mere words alone. I think I'm grasping the meaning behind your request. The signal from your transmitter is pinging my cranial orb's receiver. I can see what you're truly after is food for the soul. You definitely meant food for the body. You look for an opening where you might gently correct your new buddy, but he seems to be working himself up to say a lot more things. The delectable nutrition of what a troll's truest being craves. The sustenance of thought, of imagination, of desire. That which nourishes the self better than the finest grub noodles. Art, passion, science. You must have a hankering to see my flying machine design sketches. Despite your troubles, you can't help but think his enthusiasm is kind of sweet. You nod weakly. You make one last attempt, indicating that food might strengthen you to fully appreciate his work. No need to worry. I am fully confident in your ability to take in my glorious blueprints. You have shown yourself to be quite the steady noggin and a discerning ganderbulb. I would welcome your input. Warmth blooms in your stomach. It feels nice to hear him compliment you. You're not sure what you've actually done to earn this praise, but you definitely don't want to ruin this now. Maybe seeing his designs will be fun, even on an empty stomach. Maybe it really will nourish you on a level that will help you forget about the prosaic, earthly nourishment that you thought you wanted. You tell him you're in. Not so fast. That which I am planning to reveal to you is what I keep closest to my torso pillar. It's not that I don't trust you, my footloose and horn-free cohort, but I think I would like to trust you a little more before vivisecting myself and displaying my bleeding organs before your penetrating gaze, which is a metaphor for exposing my portfolio. Might I trouble you to participate in a small trust trial? No problem, you tell him. Your bud insists you make yourself comfortable while he gets a few supplies. After a few minutes, he returns with a fistful of fabrics in different colors. Here's what I've been bouncing around the old brain box of mine, buddy-o. I'm going to tie this blindfold around your face, then I'm going to give you some instructions. And you're going to try to locate the case where I keep my treasured sketches. If you can find it, it's gotta mean we trust each other deeply. Like two wings working in unison to achieve liftoff. If that's how wings work, I'm still figuring out the principles of the matter. What a romp. Are you up for it? It's too late to turn back now. And really, you don't want to. It's kind of a relief to have him tell you what you can do to earn his friendship in plain terms. Well, as plain as this guy's terms ever get. You give him a thumbs up. Now we're on the trolley. He quickly ties the fabric around your face. The time is upon us. Time for the inaugural flight of our deepening bond. Time to nudge our fledgling companionship out of the nest and see what happens. Your new friend starts to direct you around the room. To the left. No, my left. Oh, sorry, okay, I meant your left. And now onwards to the glorious future that lies before us. You smile weakly, doing your best to follow his instructions. He sounds happy, so you must be getting somewhere. Almost to the doorway. 3 steps forward, if you would be so... Wait! Crash. You stagger backwards from the impact. You hear yourself wheeze. The shock has totally knocked your lungs out of commission. Your chest jerks in tiny contractions as you gasp for air. Oh, beans. Ding dang darn it. There's no pain, just an intense pressure focused on the center of your face, right around where you ran into something face first. You pull at the blindfold and you hear footsteps, which probably means your new friend is rushing over to help. He gets the blindfold untied, and his face swims into your vision. He looks utterly gobsmacked. Why, I'll be a horned beast scrub food. Everything's copacetic, new pal? You put your hand to your face and you touch something wet. Sure enough, when you pull your fingers away, they're covered in blood. Your nose isn't gushing or anything, just sending out a couple rivulets to let you know it's having a bad day. It's not so bad. You tell your acquaintance this, but he doesn't look any less horrified. Shivering stratocumuli! All this time I've been testing you, to see if we could place the tender gift of trust in your declawed little hands. And here you've bestowed upon me the greatest trust of all, knowledge of your non-standard hematological attributes. I am truly honored, flabbergasted, absolutely pushed to the brink of rationality by such a display of faith. Never mind the trust trial, you deserve to see my sketches. Just wait here. Be back in 2 shakes of a baby Bob Beast's hindquarters. You sit on the floor again, wiping the blood off your face. You are not going to question the stroke of luck you've just been shown. Why, if you knew bleeding was the key to his affections all along, you would have encouraged some blood from the sites of your multiple injuries. But no matter. You sniff the last of the blood back up into your nostrils, tasting metal at the back of your throat. When your almost friend returns, he drops a big stack of papers onto your lap. You page through the designs. The first few are rudimentary, mostly variations on spaceships with little notes like, how to make it not reach escape velocity, and less jet fuel? Shape could be less aerodynamic? But as you keep going, the designs get pretty interesting. One seems to rely on some big rotating sails to achieve lift. Another shows a light frame body attached to 4 jointed wings. You briefly wonder what he plans to make the wings out of before you see the note stating that these are dragon wings. A follow-up scribble states, flapping mechanism? How to soften rigor mortis? But hang on, you take a closer look at the machine's frame. This guy's sketch is pretty detailed. The frame doesn't seem to be made of wood or aluminum as you expected, but smaller individual shapes lashed together with some kind of cord. Maybe it's just a macabre aesthetic, but you think it looks like bones? You look back at the other designs. Now that you look at it, the sails on this one have a texture that might be leather, or similar. The sketches themselves are picked out in a variety of colors, not dissimilar from some of the brand new blood colors you've discovered lately. Oh boy, you've been down this creepy alien road before. Using your lightest, most jocular tone, you question the bone shapes. You soften your words with a big and not freaked out smile. What's that? Well, I'm not a construction professional, you know. Gotta make use of what's available. Only cold low-bloods and grubs, of course. Not an ounce of insurrectional spirit in this fellow over here. Fear not, unhorned one. These wacky cultural differences. You just misunderstood. You take refuge in your old standby of nodding and smiling. It's none of your business what body parts this fellow uses or doesn't use to make his Wright Brothers transformative fan works. Friends aren't for judging people's uses of corpses as construction materials anyway. You know, when you crash-landed on my planet, I had no idea what to think. Vicari, old boy, you've really shot the balls now. That's what I've told myself. Telling an alien about your flying dreams? That's ruffled the kitty, and no doubt about it. But now that we're here, and you're having a looky-loo at my sketches, I'm thinking it might have been right for us to meet all along. Perhaps the work of the capricious Madame Destiny? Surely he's about to say that you are friends. You can almost taste those sweet, friendship-affirming syllables coming from his mouth. You are just seconds away from that coveted F word. Or are you? Maybe you've misconstrued everything. You look back down at the sketches. Bones in this one, bones in that one. He says these plans call for the bones of aliens like him, at least if you understood him correctly. But they don't really look all that different from, well, the bones you're more familiar with. Your own bones. Your bones, which have already gone through a lot today, and maybe seem to be kind of harvestable condition, if one was so inclined? You clear your throat. Haha, you say. He's not in the market for these materials right now, is he? Like, right now? The friendly guy doesn't understand your question. You're not going to push it, but you do risk a quick glance at yourself and then back at him, then back at yourself, just to see if he's checking out the stuff, so to speak. When you look back at him, he looks aghast. Oops. Heavens to biscuits. Is that what you think of me? You think I'm the type to start taking people's body parts all higgledy-piggledy? As if there aren't plenty of thoughtlessly discarded rib cages to work with? If that's the type of gent you're looking for in these parts, I'm afraid I'm not the type of aggressive heartthrob you're after. We can't all be the macho, bloodthirsty, romantic hero type, ready to whip out our organ harvesting tools at a moment's notice. I thought we could be friends, but now I see you're looking for something different. My apologies. I think it's best you go elsewhere. You want to correct the misunderstanding, but you're not fully sure what the misunderstanding is. This guy doesn't seem to be in any mood for friendship right now. You hang your head. Looks like this was all just a big waste of time. Oh, I feel so bad for him. Oh, I think this is more upsetting than some of the really other bad endings. Oh. He's such a precious baby. And I've made him mad. Okay, well that just means that we're going to get the good ending now. Right? Right? Ooh. Let's tell him that airplanes exist. I brought you here to show you my truth, and you treat me to mockery. An airplane? A plane that floats in the air? Flying machines are a serious business. I think you should leave. Okay. Now we'll get the good ending. Oh dear. Well, at least we're getting all the bad endings out of the way first. Oh, lordy. I guess we go out now. Alright. From your budding chum's words, it sounds like he himself isn't sure if there's any food in the house. Best to risk it and go outside. You tell him your decision. Top choice, buckaroo. Foraging is how I while away most of my time, after all. There's just one small matter to trouble the old brain power. If we're venturing out into the unknown yonder, we should obtain some chow for my Lucius as well. He'll be a real grumpy Gustav if he goes too long without his nosh. You draw yourself up proudly. It's taken a lot of bizarre run-ins and harrowing close shaves, but you know all about Lucius's. You inquire about Gustav, was it? Oh, what a cod you are. No, my Lucius. I call him the Canary. He whips out a photo. It shows a smaller version of himself, his horns nothing but stubs, a far too big pair of aviator goggles slipping off his nose. Standing behind him is a large white fowl, big scraggly wings folded back against its body. You want to say an emo? Emu? Emo. Whatever it is definitely not a canary. Its beak touches the top of your pal's head with something that might count as affection. He's not a persnickety sort. All kinds of bugs and leaves will tickle his fancy. Shall we away? Shall we greet the horizon that rushes forward to meet us with astounding grace? Shall we give ourselves over to the current of time's great river? Sure, you tell him, you can leave the house. It's getting a lot easier to pay attention to only the words this guy says that actually make sense. You kind of enjoy his way of speaking, though. If nothing else, it gives you the feeling that he's really excited about this food quest you're going on together. Your alien pal leads you back down to the pulley system and outside again. The trip is not so easy on your bruised ribs. The thing about walking is, when you walk, your body moves. That is so true. You've had better times, is all you're saying. You indicate as much to your companion. Oh boy, I hear ya. Moving while attached to Alternia's surface is the worst kind of hooey. The moment when autonomous flight is invented trembles ever closer to the present. Can you hear it approach? The wail of a distant klaxon, the call to adventure. It beckons us forward through the years, a golden thread stretching ever onward to that glorious inevitability. That's not what you meant, but his excitement cheers you up a little. Maybe you'll feel better in the future when someone invents flight on this planet. Certainly by that time you'll either be further along in your healing or dead. Either way, thinking about that future brings a little rosy glow to your heart. You ask your buddy where you're going next. The world is our bivalvular sea critter. We'll go wherever the wind calls our names. Great. But if it's a short-term answer you're inquiring after, there's a specific plant the canary likes to eat. It's got white petals and leaves as red as a troll's most lurid desires. Could you give a holler if your bulbs fall on something of that persuasion? You agree to keep an eye out. You continue trudging along beside him, wincing whenever your steps jolt your injuries. Maybe a little conversation will help distract you. You ask your new friend what got him so interested in flying in the first place. What could be better? Up there, free of worldly concerns, the wind in your face and the horizon at your back, seeing the continents spread out below you, finally feeling that your personal aesthetic is appropriate for the given circumstance. You chew over this one for a minute or two. It seems like what really makes this guy tick is the travel and adventure thing. Or maybe that's just what you're getting from his general demeanor, and pretty much everything he said up until now. You're nervous to bring up anything that might make him dislike you, but in the interest of bonding, you forge ahead. Aren't there, you say with apprehension, maybe some similarities between flying and space travel? Like, maybe being in a spaceship could satisfy some of these urges? What? There may be some superficial similarities to trick the common troll, but in essence, the blood pusher and soul of each, as different as night and day, as a mountain and a ditch, a star and a mud puddle. Don't get a fellow wrong, space travel is fine. Well, it's the only way to satisfy our bloodthirsty and nearly immortal overlords, and I look forward to such a time when I can be of service. In the eternal millstone grind of intergalactic conquest. But it's missing the punch, the pizzazz, the kaboom, the trunk beast honk of it all. Just as you feared, you've stepped in it now. You're struggling for a response when out of the corner of your eye, you spot a cluster of white flowers. Relieved, you point them out to your companion, who races over to gather them. But when he holds one up, you can see it has blue leaves, not red. Your shoulders droop. Seems like all you're doing is disappointing your buddy, who has been so nice to you, or at least that's what you think you've read between the lines of his confusing speaking style. Fear not, my smooth-headed compatriot. These are not the loosest rations we sought, but this plant is people chow. Oh, yeah. Since we are people, it's food for people, not food made of people. To be clear. He comes back with a fistful of flowers and hands you one of the blue leaves. You're not at all sure that food is safe for your buddy will be safe for you as well, but at this point you don't have much to lose. Besides, with the way your stomach is growing, it might as well be a perfectly seared steak. You put it in your mouth. Chewing on the leaf, you feel even more affectionate towards this guy than before. You were worried this trip was just turning into an excuse for him to run some kind of household errand, but he really did find you something to eat. You are desperate to find some way to show him that you understand his interests. You want to connect to him on a deep soul level. Anything to get him to look at you with that treasured glow of friendship in his eyes. Whenever he mentions space travel, he talks about how it's something he has to do, some kind of necessary obligation. So maybe there's a reason he's fixated on an activity that is kind of similar, but just a little different. Maybe he doesn't want to do the required thing, the space conquest, but doesn't have it in him to revel entirely all the way. Maybe an airplane flight, or whatever similar thing he's envisioning, is a compromise between what he has to do and what he wants to do. A balance, like all must find, in order to live as an individual in a society that shapes one's desires from birth. We do live in a society, after all. You cautiously open your mouth. Heart pounding, you venture to ask your pal if he maybe would rather not satisfy the demands of the bloodthirsty overlords? If maybe a part of him wants to get into his flying machine and, leave? For real? He seems taken aback. Maybe you never should have said it. What a huge mistake. You've probably pushed his friendship out of your reach for good now. Panicking, you point to the side, yelling that you see a big field of white flowers in that direction. Your potential friend leaps to action, seemingly also glad to be given a reason not to answer this question. He races forward in the direction you indicated. In a matter of seconds, there's a yelp, and your new acquaintance vanishes. Instantly, you realize your error. You didn't look to where you were pointing. While walking, you unwittingly came close to the edge of a large cliff, which your companion has now disappeared over. You race to the side, your stomach flooding with fear. This is absolutely the opposite of what you wanted. You look down in horror. Your friend now looks approximately how you felt when you first crash-landed on this dark planet. He's conscious, his face frozen in shock, but one leg is twisted underneath him in a nasty way. You may not be familiar with his alien anatomy, but you're almost positive that it shouldn't look like that. You call out to him in distress. Sure, he's going to castigate you for your mistake. The strangeness of his language won't make it hurt any less to lose this guy's trust forever. What ho! Kalu Kalay! His voice floats up from the ground below, weak but somewhat jovial? Is it possible he's not angry? Oh, joyous happening! Oh, delight for the body and spirit! Did you see? Did your being absorb what occurred before your very visage? I flew, soared through the air, just for a moment, but it happened. An ecstasy like none I've ever known. You hesitate. Is it really possible that he could be taking this so well? That maybe your big fuck-up was a step in the right direction after all? It's definitely a little worrying to hear him celebrate a dangerous fall, but none of that matters if you can secure his friendship at least. My strange associate! Come on down here! We will celebrate in a grand fashion this eve. How did you know that a brief sojourn through unfettered air would bring me such joy? You're a fine fellow, and a truly superb friend. Your heart lifts with joy. He said it. Of course, you now have to find some way to climb down the cliff with your messed up ribs, not to mention figuring out how to transport someone with a broken leg back to the house. You're not really sure if that's possible, or when the adrenaline that's got you this far will give out and force you to succumb to your own pain. But with a night full of difficulties ahead of you, you couldn't ask for a better balm than knowing you'll face them hand in hand with your friend. Assuming he didn't hurt his hands as well. No matter, you did it! Hooray! Huh. Sure. Okay, dude. If that's how you feel. Ooh. Well, I am not used to talking for so long. But that's okay. We got all of the endings. And we saved the best one for last. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. You wander down the street in a not too demolished looking part of town. You don't really take much of it in. You're not looking where you're going. This is an elementary mistake, especially on a planet where everything that exists seems to be on a spectrum of engineered specifically for murder to could be a weapon in a pinch, but you've got a lot on your mind. And now, as the car, these guys probably have some ridiculous word for it, but you haven't learned it. You hadn't noticed slams into you, sending you flipping head over feet. You add a few new concerns to your list, your bones and organs. The sound of the driver yelling, "Watch where you're going, lump squirt chugger," fades as they drive away, and you assess your situation. You stretch each limb in turn, which you've got to say doesn't feel great. You've landed in a bush which is covered in sharp spines. Your arms and legs all still work, though, and when you do an experimental cough, no blood comes out. Pretty lucky, you think. You may have redefined what luck means by this point in your journey, but you'll take what you can get. You don't figure that luck will extend to the driver, turning around to help you out of this bush, your gazes meeting and sparking an immediate and intense connection that leads you to a beautiful lifelong friendship, but you let yourself hope. After a few minutes of struggle, the answer to your comradely daydreams comes into focus above you, a figure outlined by the spiny leaves of your plant prison and the glow of the moons. The troll you see isn't the driver of the car, but you don't care. Your heart is beating wildly with your continued lucky streak. Hello? You seem to have fallen victim to a collide and scamper with that scuttle buggy back there. Have you contacted your personal legislator? If not, I'd like to offer my services. My name is Tagara Korjek, but please call me Gorgor. I'm here for you. For a nominal fee, of course. He pulls a business card from his sleek teal vest and offers it to you with a precise flick of the wrist. His claw beds are perfect. You try again to sit up, buoyed by this offer for assistance. He's some type of doctor, maybe? Or a lawyer? It doesn't matter, really, because he said he was here for you. Those words go right ahead and burn themselves into the softest chamber in your heart. You start telling him your plight thus far, reaching up through the brambles towards Beacon of Hope. This guy seems trustworthy, and that's not just your lack of options talking, you swear. As you shift, the moonlight shines on you. He steps back briefly, dropping the card. The one eye that's not covered by a swoop of product-infused hair opens wide. He recovers, smoothing his hands down his chest and straightening up, clearing his throat as you continue to explain. You're what? Oh yes, an alien. I knew that. I've done work with aliens before, so your situation shouldn't be an issue at all. Everyone deserves an equal opportunity to be represented by me. In fact, we may be able to use this in our favor for a larger cash settlement. It all depends on our angle. Here, try moving your chug column. You aren't sure why this is necessary, but you wiggle your torso, hoping that's right. You've never wanted anything more in your meager existence than to follow this specific directive perfectly. No, not that. You add a little hip jiggle, not so much that you might think it's a come on, but enough to say, hey, I'm friendly, and I know what the fuck I am doing. No, you're the thing that holds up your think pan. Work with me. You continue what you hope is a part of a troll friendship ritual, shimmying various parts of your anatomy deeper into the bush until you get to your neck, and then he clasps his hands together. There we go. That one hurt, didn't it? Definitely a case of column snap, which can get us a decently hefty restitution. Your neck feels fine, or it doesn't hurt any more than the rest of you, but you give him what you hope is a convincingly painful nod of agreement. Of course, you will need to front the initial legislation costs. We may also have to injure you further to ensure our case is convincing, but you've got to break a few Cluckbeak Stimbrios to make a grublet, as you well know. Yes, I think we may make a mutually beneficial team if you're willing to do what it takes to bring about the justice you deserve. So what do you say? How would you like to help me help you? He's talking really fast. You're not sure what exactly to think about your lack of funds or the idea of breaking any more bones, but that smile is sharp and shiny and pointed right at you. You want more of it. Ooh. Tell him about the heaps of money you definitely have. You mention how incredibly loaded you are, and how core to your sense of values it is to pay well for good work. That's what we call good business. Now, get up out of that prickle frond and let's get you presentable. He watches you flail a few times before he sighs, unbuttons his sleeves, and rolls them up to his elbows. Each fold is crisp and even. It takes a while, but you are good at being patient. There is a 12% cost increase for instances of manual labor. It'll all be explained in your bill. It's itemized. I'm sure an alien of means such as yourself will be able to handle it. You take his hand, and he pulls you up and out of the bush. It's kind of a rough job. He's not as strong as he looks, you guess. He glares at you like he is daring you to say shit about it, and you're a quick learner. He cuts you off mid-thank you. My office isn't far from here. We can go there to get things started. And by things, I absolutely mean get you clean and sign a lot of vaguely worded, yet stringently binding documents. He walks with a purpose. You shake off the flora stuck in your various body parts and do your best to catch up. From the outside, his office basically just seems like his hive. You've learned a thing or two during the shitstorm of cultural exchange, though. You gotta play it cool when a potential friend invites you home. You never know what cages or monsters or methods of evisceration they may have laying around, and you want to prepare a nice, chill look on your face for whatever carnage you're about to be confronted by. It doesn't work. Your face falls to bewildered hell when you walk inside because it's all chrome and glass and broad white walls in here. It's like he bought the fanciest looking crate and barrel display room he could find down to the last useless minimalist accessory and then never sat down in it. His Lucis, a ferret, is chilling on an enormous silver thing that's halfway between a throne and a play tower. Everything is clean and bright and perfect at right angles, and you don't see any weapons anywhere. It's fucking creepy. You ask him if he just moved in because polite conversation seems like maybe the best thing you can do. In the absence of something specific to focus your fear on, you're just sort of a little afraid of everything. You're not paying me to learn my life story. Unless you'd like to. In that case, no. I've lived here most of my life. I'll go ahead and add that to your bill. You stare at one of the chairs. Should you sit in it? By all means, do not make yourself at home. Head straight to my ablution trap while I prepare our contract. You really want to connect with this guy, and you like how you just vibed there, where you were thinking about sitting your bedraggled ass in his fancy chair, and he could totally tell you were thinking it. But you don't want to be friends badly enough to walk straight into something that has the word trap right there in its name, without at least pondering it for a second. You've become savvier during all of this. No entrapment, please. You tell him that you would rather stay away from any and all traps if that's alright. You mention that you think that's the better move for both of you. Something tells you this guy wants to know what's in it for him. Probably all the times he's said explicitly that. You do have that vibe going on, after all. He taps a claw to his chin and looks you up and down. He takes his time. You try not to blush, no matter how exacting his gauge is. You present a solid case. Your whole look is more than a bit repellent, but it may make the pitiable lost alien angle more emotionally effective if you still look like you just got run over. frown. It takes you a second to realize he didn't just say his physical, emotive response instead of doing it with his face. He's giving you a direction. You stick your lower lip out and try to look as pathetic as possible. Yes, this is really working for me. It's awful. Completely repugnant. A general squalor should function as a simple manipulation tactic, no matter which direction I decide to spin it. The praise makes it hard to keep frowning, but you do your best to keep it up. You even hunch over a bit and shamble a few meager steps towards him. Great, yes. That's enough. No need to come any closer. Okay then, we'll skip the hygiene and get straight to the best part. Bureaucracy. Stay right here, and don't get any of your crusty alien orifices near my decor. I'll go print our contract, and we can move on. You pretend that you're a statue while he types things, then prints the typed things, then staples the printed things. His ferret Lucis stares back at you with beady interest. You stare back, completely motionless. You wonder how often Gorgor has friends over. He brings the packet over to you and hands you a pen. Read this, or don't. Sign it either way. It's a standard legislator agreement tweaked to a bit to accommodate your particular situation. You know you agree to submit your testimony to be judged and will accept whatever subjugulation you receive. You recognize that any potential winnings are to be remitted to me for processing through a local account before your portion can be dispensed to you. In the event of your culling, I will act as executor of your accounts. Blah, blah, same old business. I'm sure it's the same where you're from. There are stars at each place you are to initial. That sure was a lot of stuff that you just got told real fast. You were trying to listen, really, but he winked at you so early on in his monologue, and it was really distracting because you couldn't stop thinking about if you should incorporate a wink into your secret handshake, maybe. Anyway, regular legal jargon, yeah, just like all those times you clicked to say you read the terms and conditions on any old harmless social media app. That stuff never ends up being relevant. You show off your exquisitely polished John Hancock as many times as it takes. Excellent, excellent. Everything's in order then. Are you ready to head out? Oh, like now? Now? You're not ready. Do you look roughed up enough? Will your bones need to go through any more ordeals? What's a subjugulator? Does Tagara no sweep like the one you're fucking in, as they say? Pardon the language, it's an idiom. It means it's time to fucking go. You follow him out as apprehensively as you followed him in. As you retrace the path you took not too long ago, it occurs to you to wonder where this glorious feat of justice is going to take place. And, if anyone's going to subpoena the asshole that hit you. Is that even a thing here? You skip up to match Tagara's pace and ask. There is no real need for you to worry about that. It's for me to deal with. I saw the perpetrator, of course. It seems prudent to pin the crime on them when the time comes. I will have more than enough credible evidence to condemn them. Their blood cash should be sufficient, but if it seems worth it to call in their dented scuttlebuggy, I can certainly do that as well. Of course, that's not the only way we can spin this. It may not be necessary to involve them at all. Don't bother worrying about that either. You definitely still worry about that, but you nod and keep walking like you're not bothered. You want to match his level of easy confidence. It's almost comforting to be around it now that you've spent some time with him. It's simple. You're still basking in the ease of being told what to do when the whole vibe flips over on its ass so fast you'll feel like ice down your back. You look at Tagara first. He stops walking and his posture somehow gets straighter. Even his cute little ponytail thing looks more alert. He's staring at the approach of another troll, a blue guy. You know that means high blood, but not much else about what that entails, aside from what you're picking up from the full hair-on-end cat reaction from old Gorgor next to you. Pleasant evening, sir. His voice gets somehow sweeter and more professional at the same time. You recognize what he's feeling because you felt it in yourself the whole time you've been on this godforsaken planet. A deep, all-consuming thirst for approval. He's gunning hard for business boy friendship. The high blood, however, is not. At first you think he might be chill because his smile gets huge, and hell if you don't love getting smiled upon. You start to introduce yourself until Tagara shoots you a "be cool" look. It's then that you learn that this guy's smile is not the nice kind. "What's this?" he asks. "Gorgor picked up a little friend?" "It's not. We have a working relationship." You try not to let his dismissal of your friendship sting. You're not there yet. It's okay. You want to be helpful, so you put on your best injured face and start hobbling in a circle, twisting your neck at the most grotesque angle you can manage without actually hurting yourself. You groan pitifully about all your bones. "Oh, right, your booming drone pursuing business. This, client you have here looks extra shitty. Good luck getting anything good for whatever this mutant is that you scraped up from the gristle grate. If you take a moment to consider the potential." The blue guy rolls his eyes and keeps walking, elbowing his way right between the two of you on his way past like you're nothing. Tagara freezes. His eyes stay fixated ahead of him, where the blue guy was just standing. It's like he hasn't processed the movement yet, even though he got knocked back a few steps in his wake. He starts shaking. Yikes, that was tense. You want to say something reassuring to Tagara, but he has kind of ascended into another plane of existence. Maybe a nice reassuring pat on the shoulder will help diffuse his mood? You put a ginger hand in the mere vicinity of his body and he whirls to face you, eyes narrowed and breathing heavy. You snatch your hand back fast. Mistake. You. Do you have any idea how rare that networking opportunity was? Do you realize what you... No, of course you don't. You don't know anything. You're just a weird little hornless thing who doesn't even know how to cross the fucking streets. He starts laughing all high-pitched and weird. Up until now, he seems so slick, so unflappable. That Gorgor is hard to reconcile with one pacing back and forth, hollering and grabbing at his face. He's pretty goddamn flipped. Oh boy, you really screwed up, huh? Maybe your busted neck routine was not convincing enough? Or too convincing? Either way, you figure now might be the time to blow out before this scene really blows up. You tell him so. Your neck is fine, look. You headbang a bit to prove it. No. A deal is a deal is a deal. He breathes in slowly through his nose. Alright, Gorgor, remember your mantra. He closes his eyes. After an awkward minute of watching him whisper something unintelligible to himself, he opens them and immediately starts that bonkers pace again, so you skedaddle to catch up. He keeps talking, though by now he's just talking to himself, with you as an eavesdropping barnacle with really slow legs. Little manic giggles bubble out between his sentences. We're headed towards justice, all right. Keep walking. We're seeing this through. I've got a bottom line to uphold. Okay, not bad. Maybe things are still cool between you? Maybe this lawyer-client relationship still has a chance to blossom into something more. You venture a friendly type topic and ask him about his mantra. He stops walking and looks at you like you just shat on his Lucis' grave. You don't just ask someone what their mantra is. Maybe not so cool. He shivers, spooked, and turns his stanky stare from you to the path you're on. After a moment, he smooths back all the hairs he shook out of his place during his freak out, pivots, and turns down a side street. Anyway, as I was about to say, there are many ways to fulfill the terms of our contract. I was hoping this would lead to a more stimulating evening. I was prepared to get into it with you. For you. But it has become clear that this partnership is no longer worth the work. Especially now that I will have to consider the significant career setback I just experienced at your feckless hand. So instead of wasting any more of my time or yours, let's take a shortcut to the same end result, sparing us both the agony of enduring a long court battle in the proximity of one another. Here's your verdict. You're guilty. Guilty? Wait, wasn't it supposed to be the other guy who's on trial? You look around, panic rising in your chest. Oh, don't tell me. You don't know how the legal system works either. Unsurprising and uninteresting. Oh, this is bad. You'd been so caught up in watching him talk that you didn't notice him guiding you straight to a shittier part of town. You know, the part that's all half demolished, hives and creepy noises and drones flying around. Drones like the one that turns to notice you when Tagora whistles, snaps his fingers, and points right at your head. Hey, big guy. Over here. One extremely malformed and unviable troll. Just the way you like it. Maybe you shouldn't feel surprised at this betrayal, maybe, but you do. For a second, anyway. Then you focus on yelling and scanning for possible debris to hide under. Tagora starts backing away as the drone gets closer. There's a sewer the next street over. You probably won't make it. But if you do, check your pocket. Oh dear. Wow, what a jerk. What a big jerk. Tagora's a big jerk. He's a big jerk, and I don't like him anymore. No, I didn't want to be friends with him anyway. Okay, well let's try that again. Maybe we'll get a good ending this time. Yeah, I guess I did embarrass him. Oh well. Let's try pro bono work this time. You thank him profusely for his offer to help and explain that while your situation hasn't exactly left you very rich, you'll pay him back in glorious friendship, the most infinite of resources. Oh, whoop. I pressed the wrong button. I mean, I was pretty sure I knew which way that was going, but let me try that again. My bad. You lay it on thick. He seems like a guy who can appreciate a good deal when he sees one, and you can't imagine a better deal than this. You reach both arms up, waiting for him to scoop you out of this pain plant like the gentle baby you are. Sorry, I don't do charity. It's such a shame, too. I was hoping working with an alien might make for a more interesting day than usual. He turns on his heel and walks away, his high ponytail swishing behind him. Oh, okay. Man, that's rough. Okay, let's, I think this might be the last go of it. I hope. Sure, I'm racking up quite a bill. Time to bath. You're more than a little concerned about the trap part of the instructions you just received, but hey, at least a trap you know about is better than one you don't. And with everything else you can see so freaky pristine, he has to be hiding some evil somewhere. You wonder if it's a dungeon. A dungeon could be cool. The ferret bounds down off its pedestal and jerks its head for you to follow it. You do because it seems like a regular thing to do, and Tagora is busy on his computer. Ooh, that's a nice looking bathroom. It leads you to a bathroom which is just as fancy and clean as everything else you've seen. The Lucis chitters at you for a second, squirms its big noodle body around and leaves, shutting the door behind it. You wait a second till it's probably gone before you test the handle. It's unlocked. Huh. You wonder what the point, or, motive might be for leading you into this room until you turn and see yourself in the mirror. That is some haggard looking stuff right there, so fair. You're flying by the seat of your pants, but if you guess maybe you're supposed to take a bath? If not, and he gets pissed and unleashes the ferret on you, at least you'll meet your maker nice and clean. You half expect some indiscernible goo or blood or something to come out of the faucet in the weird lumpy tub, but thankfully it's just water. Once you're in, you take a look at the truly inordinate amount of bath products you have at your fingertips. There are 3 shelves of little bottles and soaps and unidentifiable lathersome accessories by the tub alone. There's even more by the mirror. The labels are all gibberish, of course, but you sniff a few until you find something flowery and go to town. You take more time than you should in there, but you haven't experienced a moment of luxurious solitude in a bit. Full-time friendship searching can be difficult work. It's good to recharge. Once you're freshly scrubbed and dried, you slather yourself head to toe with some lotion you find in an iridescent vial. You hope he won't mind you using it. He wants you to be presentable, and this stuff is sparkly. Ooh, glitter. You're starting to feel rejuvenated as hell, ready to knock this French's stuff right out of the park. You leave your dirty, torn-up old clothes on the floor, wrap yourself in one of the many satin bathrobes folded on a shelf, and head back out to find Tagara. He's standing in his foyer, waiting with the contract he typed up for you. When he sees you, his eyebrows ticks up. I see you went with the Rainbow Drinker Serum full body application. Bold choice. I mean, it's an incredibly rare and expensive product, and I do expect to be remunerated, but I won't lie, it works. Yeah, sure, that stuff. You don't want to let on that you didn't know what it was, since he seems impressed. Instead, you give his ego a little stroke and tell him that you hadn't seen such a sumptuous array of self-care accoutrements in so long you couldn't help yourself. Not everyone takes skincare as seriously as they should. I assumed you were taking forever in there because you'd gotten lost, or didn't know how to use the ablution trap. I hadn't considered the possibility that you were just doing your regimen. Noted. You hold your arms out to admire the well-hydrated sheen you have going on. This time, you're not even really bullshitting. It just does actually look pretty good. Tagara seems like he's struggling. He keeps opening his mouth to say something, and then changing his mind. He's clutching the documents in his hands, like a flotation device. He looks down at them, and then back at you. I typically only use that particular product to highlight my cheek blades, but there's no reason you shouldn't apply it more liberally, especially if cost isn't an issue. It's a little drastic for my personal style, but there is a certain unorthodox glamour to it. The next bit looks like it hurts him a bit to get out. Do you? Would you like to step outside to see the full effect? You bet your ass you would. You're curious about what he means by effect, and this seems like more fun than signing stuff. He places the documents down on his desk like they're made of glass, not paper. He looks up at his Lucis, who just sort of tilts its head to the side. You look away and give them privacy to do whatever eyeball communication is going on. After a bit, Tagara clears his throat and heads towards the door. You don't comment on the bluish flush in his cheeks. For all the shift in his demeanor, he still seems like he might kick you out on your ass if you tried to get too feelingsy with him. You start to glow as soon as you step back out into the dark front yard. Not in a light bulb kind of way, but in a subtle, ethereal luminescence. What is this stuff? Now that is a look. I mean, there's still the unfortunate issue of your hornlessness and overall aberrance, and the fact that you're still wearing my ablution robe. But it's cutting edge, I'll give you that. You look almost like a real one. You don't know what he means, but you want to roll around eternally in the praise part. You ask if the look will help your case. Oh right, your case, of course. He bites his lip and looks back through the window at the papers sitting on the desk where he left them. You hope he still wants to represent you, or at least that he'd want to hang out even if he wasn't going to. You don't get a chance to prod though, because right then someone rounds the corner on the sidewalk in the front of his hive. Tagara's face immediately shudders into its usual simpering mask. There's an edge of panic around his eye though. Huh. Wow, Gorjek, what have we here? It's a blue-themed troll, which, if you remember right, means he's a fancier guy than Tagara. He's grinning like a troll Christmas came early. You can feel Tagara vibrating out of his skin next to you. Who even is this guy? When he gets close enough to look at you, he jumps and screeches, "What the bulge-boiling fuck?" Tagara is frozen, the corner of his mouth pulled back to show his teeth. The new guy is ignoring him in favor of noticing that you're dressed in Tagara's monogrammed leisure wear, if his look of fascinated horror is anything to go by. You don't really know what makes you do it. You should wait for Tagra to get himself together and do the talking, but you're riding the high of almost seeing him like he was enjoying your company. Plus, nothing boosts confidence like looking like a beautiful, spooky angel. Boy, ain't that the truth. So you toss your head, put on your best fancy guy voice, and say, "What, never seen a real one before?" You're placing all your chips on this guy knowing something you don't. But when his eyes get huge and he starts stumbling over himself to back away down the sidewalk, you know it's paid off. Tagra blinks, then jumps right in, picking up directly where you left off. Surely someone as well informed as yourself knows a rainbow drinker when he sees one. The blue guy doesn't respond with anything more coherent than a string of yelps as he hightails it back the way he came. When he's gone, you turn to Tagra and ask him super casually what a rainbow drinker is. He stares at you in stunned silence. Are you telling me you didn't know? You nod. And that you ran with it anyway, exploiting the fear that you picked up on to turn the tide of a delicate encounter to your favor? You shrug. You guess so. You tell Tagra you hope his friend wasn't too freaked out. Friend? No, I hate that guy. There are simply times when being liked by your betters is helpful. Though technically fearing me is just as good. Better, maybe. So, you know. Thank you. Tagra's laugh is soft. It's not a sound you expected to hear. He's happy because of something you did. You can't help it. You start laughing too. That was a bit of a rush, wasn't it? It was almost fun? I certainly didn't see it coming anyway. I underestimated you. He gives you an appraising look, then takes a deep breath. You're so nervous all of a sudden. You feel unbalanced on the precipice of what he might be about to say. From one perveracerator to another, I'll let you in on something. I haven't actually encountered an alien before. Oh, sweet relief. As you tell him his act was airtight. As long as everyone's doing the truth thing, you'll admit you lied a bit too. You aren't actually rich. Yes, that's clear now. You have the invaluable ability to fake it, though. That's potentially much better. Why don't we put your case on hold for the time being? You wouldn't have enjoyed the outcome of our legal system anyway. We can find an alternate means of working off your debt. I think we may make a better team than I previously anticipated. With our wits combined, we can tackle bigger and better things than traffic injuries. He flexes his hand at his side, then in one swift and decisive moment, he extends it out to you. On his face is something close to an honest-to-God, real-ass smile. I've never actually formed a legitimate partnership of any sort before, but I believe this is how it's done. What do you say? The glow in your heart shines brighter than any expensive and still kind of mysterious lotion. You take his hand in your firm, no-nonsense grasp of pure, inexorable joy and shake it. Oh, yay, we did it! Good ending. In fact, the best ending. I think we still have one more ending to get, though. So, let's see what we can get then. Ooh, I don't know about you fellas, but I'm starting to get a little sleepy. I forget where it splits. Let's try this one. Skip. Oh, okay. Yeah, that wasn't it. Y'all think I got them all? Okay, well, let's do one more quick run through just to make sure. But yeah, I think you're all right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, alright, that is all of them. You can just see by the achievements they show the endings you got. Befriendments. Oh, okay. I don't know why I have these because I did not play these. But alright. There's only a few trolls who have 3 choices. Tagger isn't one of them, which is such a crime. Well, maybe they'll do a sequel. That would be nice. I would play a sequel to Friend Sim, wouldn't you? The game played itself for me. Yeah, that might be it. It was like, here are your government-assigned friends. Yeah. I haven't talked to anybody on the team except on Twitter lately. But they might. I don't know what they have in store, but I can't imagine they wouldn't be doing anything at this moment. I hope they would. Even if I don't get the opportunity to work on them, I would still really like to see more Friend Sims. You made a Boulder Chixie Friend Sim fan sim once, and it's fun to make them? Nice. Yeah, playing through these and working on some of them made me want to try it out too, but I just don't have the time or energy to devote to such an undertaking at the moment, which is kind of unfortunate, but what are you gonna do? That's just life. That's how it be. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I hope they will. It seems like these have proven to be pretty popular, so, you know. Yeah, I really hope to. If you're listening, Andrew, we would like some more Friend Sims, please. Pretty please. You can even put a horse in them. That's good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that the reception was really good. Okay. All right. Well, we made some very nice friends and we saw some really nice cards. I think that's a pretty full evening, don't you agree, everyone? Yeah, horse sim. It can be like How to Fool Boyfriend, except with horses instead of pigeons. Or that whatever that dating sim is out now that it has the horse with a dude's face. I don't know what it's called, but that looks really weird. That reminds me of that National Enquirer, where it has like the horse born with a human face smiles when it's given an apple sort of thing. Like, I saw that on the newsstands when I was a kid, and that I had like nightmares for a week after seeing that picture, because it is, man, that is a freaky picture. I will see if I can find a picture of it and I'll edit it in to the video, like right here, so you can see it, or I'll post it on Twitter or something, because that thing was weird. I mean, if you thought Bat Boy was weird, this thing was really weird. It's like, yeah. Well, yeah, everyone smiles when they're given an apple, but like, the picture they had for this horse thing was like, it was creepy, and like, I think I had this nightmare one time where it was standing in my room in the darkness and was just looking at me, and it's like, I don't want this nightmare. And now that I've like pulled up that old memory, I'm gonna have a nightmare about it tonight. I just know it. It'll be the first time that I experience like sleep paralysis, and I'll just be seeing that horse's face standing over me. I have spooked myself. I don't like it. Alright. Thank you everyone for stopping by tonight. I really appreciated your company, and I hope you had a good time too. That'll be it for the stream tonight. And so I bid you a good evening, and I hope you have a fantastic tomorrow. Good night, everybody.